Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews of Flourish and Thrive Academy. Do you ever have the feeling that you can't get your head above water in your business because you're drowning in the D word? I can totally relate. That's why I thought it was important to talk about how to get your head above water when you feel like you're sinking. Debt is super easy to fall into. At certain times in my life, debt seemed like it was actively pulling me in, even if by accident. One year when my business was actively growing, I financed 8 trade shows using cash flow from a large order and a line of credit. Going into this, I had a plan to pay off the investment, but things went south. My trade shows didn't get the return on investment I was expecting, and a few other financial setbacks came up that were unexpected. I felt like I was drowning. I feel this is a taboo topic is super important to talk about because had I faced the music a little bit earlier, my business wouldn't have gone into bankruptcy. So if you feel like you're sinking, listen in. Here are the steps I took to stay afloat when things went underwater in my business. The first step is to admit that there's a problem. If you're often victim to bright, shiny object syndrome or get anxious and avoidant when opening your bills and business records, then it's time to buck up and get honest with yourself. So for all of you out there, even if you think you're all set financially, I highly recommend that you take another look at your sales versus your bills. Or if you're in an accounting system, take a look at your balance statement. If your debt to income ratio is high, then let's start getting your head above water. Step number 2 is to calculate your expenses. Some of this may seem like, duh, totally. But if you aren't crystal clear on your expenses and what I like to call my monthly nut, you won't even know what you're dealing with. One of the key reasons my business struggled was because I wasn't clear as I should have been. More often than not, I was merely eyeballing and estimating. If you don't host your books in a detailed accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero, please start now. Your accounting tool needs to have detailed reporting. A serious business can't survive on invoices and spreadsheets alone. Don't let me scare you. Just step into the role of CEO or visionary like you ought to. Step number 3 is to cut back where you can. This seems obvious, but it's often overlooked. Take a look at your expenses and figure out what's unnecessary. You can trim the fat by curtailing expenses on unnecessary supplies, labor, and extravagant spending. Be honest with yourself, even if it stings in the short term. Step number 4 is to get rid of excess inventory. I've told this story a bunch of times, and I'll tell it again. Excess inventory can take you down and will put you out of business if you aren't careful. Take a detailed inventory and get rid of anything you possibly can by destashing, selling raw materials, selling made goods, or even donating the merchandise for a tax write-off. Just cut the fat. Step number 5 is to increase your sales. Now, this seems obvious, but if you're in debt, you need to hustle like you mean it to sell some product and ultimately get your debt down. Increasing your sales increases your cash flow. As I mentioned above, selling off the extra inventory should come first and foremost. Step number 6 is to make a plan. Now that we've identified the issues, it's time to figure out how to get out of debt. Make a plan by setting up sales projections, estimating your extra cash flow, and committing to pay down your debt. As you move forward, focus on building a business that can run on cash flow as much as possible. When the urge creeps up to charge on your card or line of credit again, take a step back and have a plan to pay off that charge before you do it. If you're drowning in debt or even feel uncomfortable with just a little bit of debt, take action now. Use these 6 steps to stay afloat and start swimming instead of drowning. Now, I want to hear from you. I know this is a touchy subject, but in the comments below, tell me the following. What's your biggest aha about getting out of debt? And what's your number 1 action step that you will take this week to gain control of your finances? If you found this video useful, make sure you like the video, follow our channel, and share it with your friends. Then pop on over to flourishthriveacademy.com for more jewelry business advice and free training.